In this lesson, we're going to create the hot and cold water supply system. We're going to add a water heater and plummet, as well as add a drain and a vent for the mop sink. All right, we're going to start off in our level 1 plumbing plan here. We're going to create the incoming domestic water supply that's going to be coming from the exterior of the building and feed up into our chase here. Okay, we're going to start by editing our view range. For this, we want to drop it down because we need to come in underneath underground. So I'm going to go to view range here. I'm going to set my bottom to -2 feet. I'm going to set my view depth to -2 feet as well. Okay, that'll allow us whenever we draw our pipe at -2 feet, it'll allow the pipe to show up. Okay, so we have our view depth set. We're going to start by going to the pipe tool. This is going to be a 2-inch pipe. Our middle elevation is going to be at -2 feet underground. And important, you want to make sure this is on the copper pipe type, and that our system type is set, maybe set from sanitary or vent from doing the last project. You want to make sure this is set to domestic cold water right here. This will allow the filters to make the visibility look correct. Okay, so I'm going to come from the exterior of the building here, and I'm going to bring it up and over in a 90. We're going to be coming into the chase here. Now, depending on where you set your pipe, we might need to nudge this over to the left a little bit just so we can fit our pipes in here without interference. So luckily, if you created one big system, you should just be able to highlight one pipe and use your arrow keys to nudge these pipes over. I'm just gonna make sure that we stay inside the chase, but make sure I have at least over 2 inches over here. That's almost 3. So that should give us plenty of space here to draw our supply pipe. And also, we're gonna unpin and move our section here. In the previous lesson, I said to pin it and not move it because you couldn't align it. Well, in 2020, you can actually align sections to other pieces. So this is good for us, so we can, if we need to come back and be on this chase plane, we can just align it with the pipe and go about using that same section. Alright, so I'm going to scoot this section back where I can see my my supply pipe, at least, is crossing it a little bit. And I'm going to go into my section, zoom out, and see the blue. The blue is your supply here. So I'm going to create a similar, hit it here in the center, and drag this straight up. And remember, we move this over so it's this is running directly side by side with the with your drain pipe here. Okay, so I'm going to draw up and over. I'm going to draw out a a 90 here so we can feed in. Try to connect to that pipe so we can have a stub out right here. And I believe this one is 1.5 inches. Alright, so now we're just going to start feeding overhead our supply. Come all the way over. So we're not actually going to connect these supply pipes to the fixtures. Basically, we're going to run stub outs right beside each fixture, and the last little bit they would run with either flex or run it directly into depending on what fixture they get. So we're not actually going to directly connect the supply to the fixtures here. And then for the sink, we're going to run one supply. We're basically going to run the supply behind the sink and one pipe, one horizontal pipe here, like this. And they would tap into this as needed. All right, so now we're going to go and do the first floor. And I'm bringing this down the same as these same height as the other ones because remember there's a regular sized toilet on the other side of this. Alright, let's take a look at that in 3D. See, everything's blue. Now you have all of your pipes running side by side, no interference or anything. And actually, let's add one more stub out for the first floor as well, above the ceiling. And don't forget to cap those. Okay, so next we're going to add a water heater in the janitor's closet. So it's going to be on the second floor. Go to our second floor view here. We also want to copy monitor this, copy monitor the mop sink if you did not originally. So let's go ahead and do that first. Go into collaborate, go to copy monitor, select link. Same process as the other ones, except we don't need to do a multiple copy. We're just going to do a single copy of the sink. Click on that and say finish. So now you can select it and you see that it's in your model. If I go to my 3D view, so this view I have set up right here, I have just the architectural model turned off in visibility graphics. And so if this sink were not copy monitored in, then it wouldn't be showing up right now. Alright, so we need to use this, and then we need to insert a 40-gallon domestic hot water heater. So that's going to be in your mechanical equipment, and under water heater, we're going to use this 40-gallon. Click and drag, make sure your constraints level 2 and 0. It'll sit on the floor. So I'm going to drop that in there. Next, we're going to add a pipe to feed the cold water into our hot water heater here. And if we look at this in 3D, you'll notice that you have an in right here it's on the right hand side. So that's where we're going to run the cold water to, and then out we'll run our hot water up and over to our sinks. Okay, so I'm going to start in level 2. I'm going to go to the stub out that I created. I'm just going to do a create similar. And main thing here is just so that we can grab that middle elevation. This pipe is actually going to be 3/4 of an inch. So just like the duct, if you want to change the size of a pipe, you'll click it to start, and you'll need to change it after. So we'll change that to 3/4 now. We'll run this up and over. And we're going to delete this elbow here because we're going to create a T to feed into the wall, and that will feed our supply for our mop sink here. Let's come up a little bit. So just intersect that T and or intersect that pipe, and it'll turn into a T. Okay. So from here we can we're going to just turn this pipe up towards our connector. Let's make that a 90. And you can align, so AL for line, and then if you if you hover over the center here, notice it gives you the center line here. But if you can find that connection point and click on that, and then click the middle point of this pipe, and that'll snap align that pipe directly to your connection point. Then you can just click and drag it straight up until you get your node there. It'll turn it down. All right, so now we're gonna use one of our sections and run this pipe directly down the wall. So we'll go into this section, find my pipe coming from my water heater, drill pipe, and run this directly down. It'll stub out just right above your mop sink here, and this will be for a fixture for the mop sink. All right, so we have this pipe here at 11.8. So now we're going to create our hot water. So we'll click here, go into my section. I will click on my hot water heater, click the out button, and run this up to this up and over. And then I'm gonna set this to the 11.8, the same as my cold water. I didn't do that initially, just coming up and go over here because it probably would have tried to connect to my cold water here, and I don't want that. But now you see we have our little stub out here that we can draw a pipe, bring this over into our plumbing chase. Make sure you don't connect any pipes in here. And let's go into our section and see if we can find that red pipe. If you can't, it might not be far enough. Yeah, I think this is our section. Here's our pipe. There it is right there. I'm going to create similar, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did for my cold water and bring this over, down and over. We're going to delete that elbow because this one we want to just run straight down. And do the same thing with this. All right, looks like we have a little interference here. Go ahead and clean that up. That should be okay, we're good there. Down, missing that. All right, get the hot water in there. Now let's run a small piece from the hot water down into the, scoot this up so they're a little closer together. Run a piece from the hot water heater down to the mop sink, so they have hot water there as well. Create similar. Over here and out. And then we'll line up, make sure we get the same height for the hot and the cold water. Just bring your section back a little bit. You can use the align tool there to there. Alright, so now we need to create a drain and vent for the mop sink that we just added here. Okay, so we're going to start off again in a section. This is just to get the initial pipe coming down off of the sink. I'm going to hit my out here, drop it below the floor. Good. All right, so also you have to kind of think that, okay, I'm bringing this pipe down here. I need to run this in either a section or in my first floor view. So that will get our pipe started for the first floor. So basically you can just, as long as you're above or below and you have enough room to make those corners, if you just bring this down and over and then connect it to your pipe, and just hit this this elbow here, it should automatically get connected to the first floor. It should automatically make that connection. This connection. Let's do that. Alright, the command I just used was the trim tool, or the trim extend. You can either use the single element here, so you can activate that tool, and we know that we want this pipe to stop here at this this stub out instead of this one down here. So I can click on this stub out and the pipe, and it'll connect those two. So for the vent pipe for the sink here, we're going to start off in my vertical section just to start the vent pipe. So we'll go here. I'll create similar. Set this to vent. And come up. And once we have it started in this section, we actually want to go to our horizontal section here so that we can go over. Let's make sure we're catching that. There we go. So our vent pipe is right here. And we'll draw a pipe, and we might scooch this down, go over, then up the wall here. And I'm just going to create a little leg going this way so that I can pull it out, see it in floor plan. Alright, so we go into our level 2 here. Notice that we have our vent pipe coming over. We're going to need to intercept this vent pipe right here. Basically, we need to intersect this and this guy. Alright, so you see this is about middle elevation. Actually, we'll hit this one. 1110. Just make sure you raise this to this about the same height. Then try to use a section. We'll need to go into 2, Let's use this section here. There's a button up here, change slope. So you can turn that on and off, and so if you turn it on and intersect it, now you see that it's at a slight slope, and will slope up to meet where you need. All right, and the last bit of this lesson is we're actually going to hook up the plumbing fixtures to the sanitary line. We use a section for each set of toilets. So let's look at these. All right, so these toilets have have the automatic connections out. So basically, you can just hit out, and you want to drag across, drag all the way over here to this other toilet, and then make sure you set your T to double sanitary T's, and don't forget that that basically you have 4 toilets on one section, so you can do both the upper and lower floors at once. So keep going for the sinks. Sinks should be the same thing, though you have all your connections coming out pretty close to each other, so you need to zoom in here. Make sure you hit the bottom one, the out, and just drag it over. Sanitary. And yeah, basically as long as everything is lined up, it should just connect right up to each other. Keyword should. If you notice that you cross these pipes and nothing happens, then that means you're probably not aligned perfectly. Okay, so once you have everything done there, lastly we will put the stub outs for each toilet. So I use my same section here, and we'll go and we'll find our blue water line, and you'll do this for basically all the same, all the toilets. You'll come off in one direction here, and then delete the elbow, and then pull this out over here. And this basically just means that helps you make an aligned connection. Draw pipe out, delete. So for the urinal, come out for the urinal, you can just step it out here. You don't have to do an external wall here. And the sinks are all done with the done already here. All right, so you'll go and you'll do that same thing for the first floor toilets here and urinals. And lastly, we're going to put the ball valves on the water supply so that they can turn off specific parts. Okay, that is going to be in the systems, pipe accessories, ball valve. So these things go on just like the dampers do on the HVAC stuff. Only difference is these you actually have to change your size manually depending on what you're connecting to. So we know that we're going to connect to this 1.5. We're going to put one on each side of this run here, so we can isolate and turn off what we need. So we're going to say pipe accessories. We know this is a 1.5 inch. One there and there. We need a 2 inch here. This one is 1.5. Couple here. Then whenever we get around to doing collision detection, you might need to kind of rotate some of these around. Depending on if you're right above or right up against ductwork or something. So just know that these things can be rotated by the rotation or the arrows here.